Back in June, I hosted an alumni Q&A. I asked a few grads from the class of 2019 to come over and give their advice on what life was like after graduating from college. We discussed how we adjusted to the new job market as well as dealing with this pandemic that we're now facing, well, right now. With the timing of all that's happened, we tried our best to kind of give suggestions and advice on what we would recommend if we were dealing with this type of situation that's going on today. Although we've only been out for a year, I think a lot of the advice we gave was very practical and helpful and really allowed us to give some of the newly grads of 2019 some confidence in dealing with the new job market that they're going to have to deal with. If you're a recent college grad looking for some guidance from other first-gen students who were the first in their family to go to college, then I think this is a video for you. Enjoy. I just kind of wanted to get things started with just like some questions we got from the Google form. And one of them was all like, how have we adjusted to this pandemic going on? Like we're in the workforce trying to get things going, and all of a sudden we all have to go home, wear masks. So I understand Tori is doing some clinical stuff. So we can get going with her, and then we can move on to Haley and Bella and like their experiences during their gap years or what it's like in grad school. And then my boy Marlon over here trying to figure things out now that he apparently can't go to, where are you going to go, Marlon? It was like Thailand, Japan?
Oh, so I chose Southeast Asia, and there was a teaching position in Cambodia. But yeah.
Well, so then we'll go ahead and get things going. And we can talk about each of our stories and how we adjusted in ways we made the transition a little easier on ourselves. So Tori, take it away.
Yeah. I was working like all my jobs like normally. Like with COVID, we got like more patients, but we did like have to transition to like telemedicine. So instead of like patients coming in, we had to do like over basically Zoom, and there's like HIPAA compliant like programs that we use. We had to screen all our patients. It's been kind of like stressful because everyone like health wise was like, oh my God. Most of our patients are like older too, because I work in a spine neurosurgery, like pain management, like interventional pain. But otherwise, like I see like how scary it is. Like I can't believe like how it's gonna be for like 2020. But if you're like interested in health, I do know that there was like a lull in finding jobs, but now that it's kind of back on and we're going into like phase 2 and 3 and stuff, more places are hiring because they have like an influx in patients. But anyone is like so welcome to like message me about interviewing for like any jobs or like resume building, your best foot forward when applying to jobs, and like writing your like your cover letters like to jobs, because I do think that's like a big one. But yeah, not much has changed for me.
Awesome. Thanks, Tori. Haley, you want to take it away?
Yeah, so whereas Tori is kind of offering like a health or even a professional perspective, I'm definitely more of like those of you who are interested in an academic route or going to grad school, whether it be, for medical or anything. I've applied to, I think, 5 or 6 programs this year. So it was a very long process. And thankfully, when COVID happened, I was already applied and I had, I think, just accepted my offer, but I lost both of my jobs. So it was really scary, and it was kind of like I had to figure it out. And then on top of it, just navigating the whole move for a school that's in a different state. And now it's a lot of programs are up in the air with how they're going to go forward in teaching their students. But I think for the most part, COVID has kind of just helped me realize that when the going gets hard, you just have to make it happen. And whether my school is online or not, I don't really know how that works for grad students, but I just kind of am viewing it as this is what I put so much time into, because my whole senior year I did a bunch of projects so that I could really build up my application and focus and focus in on what I wanted to do and figure all that out. So I think if anything, it's kind of, I mean, as much it has hurt a lot of people, which is really devastating, I think it's kind of given me time to become comfortable with my future and to really think about it. So if any of you have questions about grad school, like any aspect of it all, I feel like I'm really solid with all of that now. So feel free to reach out to me. I have Instagram or Facebook. If you want to grab my email or number, just start a chat with me. So.
All right, Bella, you wanna talk about your experiences? Seeing how you're up in UMich. How do y'all call it? UM?
U of M, UMich.
All right, for sure.
Yeah, so like Haley, I have more of an academic research perspective on adapting to COVID. I applied for graduate school while I was at UCSB, so while I was still in school. So I started like 3 months after I graduated, which was definitely tiring to not have any time away. I'm like in the 17th grade now, and it really feels like it. I guess I'm moving into the 18th grade, if you think about it. In terms of adapting to COVID, like it was a real bummer because it would have, yeah, it's like, I don't know. I also think about how there was no good time for anyone in your life to be like, for the world to be shut down for 2 months. Because if you're a senior at UCSB, you lose that spring quarter, and I am really sorry for that loss. And then in grad school, I lost my summer of research. That was a little bit devastating, but I think the way to deal with it is just to generally try to live your life and try to see what opportunities you can still pursue, and always try to keep whatever opportunities you can open for the future. So something I did was I took a lot of classes my first semester of grad school and also the second one, so that I'll finish school a semester early. I'll finish my coursework, so I'm doing a 2-year master's program. And then maybe I can go do my fieldwork in January and February of next year. Hoping on that virus vaccine to come through would really help a lot of things for me. But also having backup plans. So if I'm not able to do that, then I have to pursue more of a literature review and maybe work on some other side projects with remotely collected data, like drones, which actually are kind of exciting. So I don't know, I also went into grad school thinking, okay, this is 2 years, like don't get injured, Bella, don't break your leg and not be able to like go to school for a semester or something. Like you have to finish in the 2 years. And then all this stuff happened that was completely out of my control. And I think on a more philosophical note, they're just gonna keep happening throughout your life. So I don't know, I guess just learn to take it in stride and learn that there's no direct path to anything that you're trying to do. Yeah, also, like Haley said, happy to answer any questions about grad school. I'll put my email and phone number in the chat, so any of you who are interested can ask me questions.
All right, Marlon, you wanna give us your feedback on how you navigated this hectic year?
Yeah, this year's been interesting. So I was actually, I don't know if Chris touched on this, but I was in Santa Barbara after graduation, working for a company called Appfolio out in Goleta. And I think my last day was on February. So I pretty much willingly quit my last job right before all of COVID happened. So that was like a really big curveball. I was kind of a little bit, panicking about that just because I didn't really know what place they were hiring. I didn't really, I was like waiting for my time to leave for the Peace Corps. So because of that, it kind of just completely derailed the timeline that I had set up. So I would say the biggest takeaway for me has been just being adaptable. I think everyone's touched on this. It's really hard to have just everything planned out perfectly in the real world, just because things aren't always going to go as you planned. So yeah, if anyone wants to kind of talk about, navigating through post-grad, any uncertainty that they're feeling, because quite frankly, I'm still trying to figure it out. A big reason why I want to do the Peace Corps / like right now with everything going on in terms of politics, issues in police brutality, I've been looking for opportunities to get more engaged in my own local community in San Diego. So if anyone's in that kind of like period where they're really, feeling pressure because they're trying to figure out how to get from point A to point B, I'd love to speak with you.
I want to talk about my experience, dealing with this whole pandemic and the change it was. Before, I was actually with Marlon. I was working in Santa Barbara, but not as an employee at Appfolio. I was actually doing clinical research for diabetes education in Latinx and Hispanic populations. So I was doing that for a while. I was trying to get my publication. That was hella hard. Man, I was like losing sleep on it. But eventually I was like, I finished my work doing my pilot study, and then I decided, Santa Barbara's expensive. So I decided to move back home and, live where rent is basically free. So that's just something I decided to choose. And also getting the support of my family. In doing so, I also worked as a administrative assistant for this kind of startup construction company where I decided to practice my web development, my web design. And because that's more of a, you do that behind the scenes on the computer, it was kind of an easy transition for me. So, you know, going back to like how everyone's like trying to give advice, I also want to, I take unorthodox approaches to things, you know, like, well, what's a guy who wants to be a doctor doing web design for? It's just something I'm interested in. I would encourage you all to, right now with all this free time, to just kind of look into things that you're interested in, you know, something that, you know, you might not even like have come across. Like, I got this camera right here because I was like, oh man, you know, photography looks cool, I'm gonna give that a shot. So that's kind of my feedback, you know, dealing with like the stress of you know, how this whole situation has been. But trying to tie that into one of the other questions that y'all submitted, I just read a funny one right now, is how did y'all kind of navigate your employment? Like, how did you guys like go on LinkedIn? Were you cold calling people? Did you have an internship that led to your job? And, you know, now that everything's all crazy competitive, the economy is just in the toilet, what would y'all recommend? I'm gonna start off with Bella to see like how she's navigated towards, you know, grad school and what that's like in terms of employment, or if it's even necessary to do employment when you're going to school. So Bella, lead the way.
Yeah, so after undergrad, well, during undergrad, I was employed by CBER, which is the local restoration organization affiliated with the university, and they did offer employment for the summer, but since I was going to grad school 4 months after graduating, I wanted a little bit of a break, so I did nothing for 4 months, and then I started grad school. At grad school, I wanted to have a part-time job, so I had some scholarship money to fund my tuition, so I didn't have to worry about that. Again, like the Promise Scholars, which is a godsend. And so yeah, I had to apply to a bunch of jobs, and it was kind of weird. I was just applying for a part-time job, and it was hard to just applying for things. Like, there were things that like kind of felt like, why did I do my degree, but also I need money. So like things like in the dining hall here, and I was like, I can't go back to that because I did that at UCSB, and I was like, I can't go back to working in the dining hall, but I also need a part-time job. So I did end up being able to get hired at this Sustainability Institute at the University of Michigan, which runs some undergraduate fellowship programs. And so that's what I do now. And I've been really lucky that I've been able to do that online. I think at the university, it's always, if you're going to grad school or if you have plans or if you're already going, it's always worth it to talk about funding with your advisor so that they know what your situation is and how to help you out. So I've gotten hired with the university, and I'm also being paid to do some research, and then also just applying for a bunch of scholarships to pay for tuition. And also I think I've got tuition covered at this point, so now they're just for living expenses. And so yeah, that's my brief thing. But I am scared too. Like, I am also in your position because I'm graduating next year, and there's also probably still going to be economic downturn. So we're all in this together.
All right, awesome. I got Fatima on the phone. She's trying to give us her feedback. So, Fatima, where are you at?
I'm right here. Hi, everyone. So I'm Fatima. I was having some technical issues earlier, but I think some of my advice on like jobs is just really market yourself. And any like person that you've talked to in undergrad that you find interesting, a lot of them are open to like have conversations. So just like, don't be afraid to send that email, because the way that the economy is. So currently I'm a college advisor at UC Berkeley. And a lot of the time that when I'm working with high schoolers, and I know y'all aren't high schoolers anymore, but a lot of it is just sending that email and like asking for my financial aid, asking for like an internship, and that really does lead you to jobs. So for example, I was talking to someone the other day, and I was telling them how I really didn't like where I was. There are different scenarios of what I was experiencing, and they were able to connect me with different people at Stanford. So like, we're actually like, I'm having conversations with different folks on how to like put myself out there and like start thinking about grad school. But I think more importantly, it's just really being honest with like, what type of job do you need or want, and sometimes you just have to pay the bills, and having like any job like actually opens you to a lot of opportunities. So I recently started a part-time job, and that's given me like a lot of opportunities into like thinking about business and different things. So don't like close yourself off to any option, any opportunity that you might be able to get. And if you have any questions and want to talk about anything, I'm always open. I can't send my email, but feel free to ask, and I will like send it over. It's whatever connects.
All right, no worries, Fatima. I'm gonna go ahead and put your email address in the chat so everyone can reach out to you. And
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for joining us. It's a little windy out there. I can hear it. But Haley, you wanna take this question next?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
So let's see. I mean, the job market this whole year, even though I knew I was going to go to grad school, I started off as a personal assistant, and I really thought that it was going to give me, it was with an author, and she was great, and I really thought it was going to be like me applying some of my skills in communication, and it ended up being a lot different than I was expecting. So I actually had to make a tough decision, and I realized that that job really wasn't bringing me much fulfillment, and I felt like I wasn't applying my skills. So I ended up leaving, and I think part of it is just being honest with yourself when you do find a job, that it's definitely, like, some people get really lucky, but a lot of people's first job out of school isn't going to be their dream job. Or even, like, I would go as far as to say a lot of people in more general majors like communication or sociology, or a lot of the more social science majors where you can work a lot of different jobs, I would say that a lot of the jobs you'll find yourself in, and I'm also speaking on some of my friends who graduated last year too, and the jobs that they're doing, I don't really think that it's a bad thing if you get a job that it's not necessarily super related to what you thought you would be doing. A few years ago, I did an internship at a finance company, and which is like so different than anything I thought I would do. But one of the guys that worked there, he was like the CEO of the company, and he was doing finance, but he went to UCSB and he had majored in bio. So it was interesting for me to meet someone who had majored in like hard science and then ended up in finance. So don't like box yourself in too much. And in terms of those of you thinking about grad school and your funding, like Bella said, there's a lot of funding out there. And for me, I had to make a huge choice between picking a school, Cal State Northridge over here where I live like 5 minutes away, and being able to live with my parents. The money situation would have been a lot easier, or picking UT Austin where the program was much, much higher ranked, and my funding is just enough to cover my expenses. So I'll definitely have to have a job. But it was kind of like weighing those two things. And I would say reach out to your mentors, like any professors you worked with, or even me. I can try and give you my best advice, but it was a really hard decision for me to make. And in terms of those of you who aren't like academically focused, draw out as much as you can from the things that you've done, and it's all in the wording on your resume. Like you could have done, like I worked also in a dining hall, and I worked as like the person that would swipe everyone's access cards. And I swear I freaking took that and wrote on my resume that I was like a hostess and I was doing administrative work, because I was. So you can like twist things to make it sound a lot more professional and useful. Just like make sure you squeeze all the water out of that sponge of the things that you have done, because you can put pretty much anything you've done in college on your resume and make it sound like there are skills to anything that you have done that are useful in a job force, even if it's, working at the dining hall or for residential, anything. You can draw useful skills from.
Awesome. Thank you, Haley. All right, Tori, gotta give us your best advice. We heard a lot of good stuff today.
I definitely had like a panic mode type thing after graduation. I guess only the mentors know this, but I didn't have a plan after graduation. I actually went to Vietnam to visit family with family for almost a month after graduation, and that was kind of like my, where I want to forget about all my responsibilities for a month and try to regroup what I want out of my years off. My biggest thing was reconnect with people, reach out to people where they got jobs, people in your community, really network and see who's hiring, what do they need, what experience do I need. It's really frustrating when you need experience to get a job, but if you don't have a job, you don't even have experience. It's just kind of going out there, putting your best foot forward, and really like sticking up for yourself. You kind of have to fake it till you make it when you go to these interviews. I mass applied to like a lot of jobs on Indeed, Craigslist. I looked on LinkedIn, try to like connect with old alum, and I saw that they were working as like scribes, or they were working in offices or doing research, kind of putting yourself out there. I sent emails to random recruiters. I kind of like thought about staying in Santa Barbara because there's like a lot of opportunity as like a UCSB student. You can ask like professors, go into research. I even thought of like keeping my job at CLAS as a tutor and kind of weighing your options. So like I thought of like, oh, Santa Barbara is super expensive, but if I move back home to LA, I have like the support of my family and whatnot. It's really scary, but I really like encourage you to put yourself out there. What Haley said, like squeezing every ounce of everything you've ever learned in undergrad and showing them that you're committed, dedicated, willing to learn. Hey, I'm not certified in anything, or I don't have previous experience in this, but I have these qualities that make me a really great candidate, and I will be a great asset to like your team, and I'll work hard for it. That's like my biggest advice, and just like go for it.
Thanks, Tori. Awesome advice. Marlon. Marlon's all distracted right now. It's your turn to talk.
I'm sorry.
Marlon, I know you told me about your job application process.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So try and give us the spark notes of all the tips you have.
In terms of this, I would just say that, I feel like I was in this position where, I was searching for like a magic pill to kind of like solve all my problems. But I think in terms of just navigating post-grad life, my personal opinion is that there really is no one size fits all advice. It's really going to be just kind of like your own personal thing. And I think part of what's really helped me kind of understand that for my own sake is that, nowadays, especially like careers aren't very linear. Like you hear all these stories about people who doing biology, doing digital marketing or whatever, like whatever it may be. So I guess one advice I could say that's like pretty general, but is pretty helpful is that I try to think of my career as like a lily pad. You don't have to think of things super linearly. Like even if you don't like your role that you did previously, or you're not really sure of what you're getting into, try to take whatever experience you're doing right now or going to get into and use that as leverage in other roles. So I hope that made sense. And then I would also say just, part of college, like navigating after college, is that now you have to set your own goals. Like, do you want to go to grad school? Do you want to create your own business? So it's really, I think a lot of it, as cliche as it sounds, is kind of like soul searching, trying to figure out, what is meaningful to you, what is purposeful work for you, if that's what you're looking for. Trying to figure out like compromises that you're willing to make in terms of, some people look at a job as, this is just something I'm going to use to pay rent. That's really all I see a job for. And then you have people who are, really looking for like a job that's something that they're more passionate about. So trying to figure out where in that spectrum you lie, trying to figure out how you can spend your time doing the things you want to do, learning the skills you want to learn. Just a lot of that goal setting, like I said.
Awesome. Thank you, Marlon. And then I want to share a bit of wisdom I got from this crazy experience we're living in right now, is that when it comes to like job searching or choosing options, maybe you don't necessarily want to go straight into a job. Maybe you kind of, like Marlon said, start your own business. Like that's possible. And if you wanted to take those risks, I mean, you have like, we're all promise scholars. We don't have debt. Like, you know how like amazing that is? Like ask the alums, like give me a thumbs up if like the no debt is like, Haley, no thumbs up. All right, there we go.
I'll say this. I think I didn't realize how, like I realized this to be a benefit, obviously, when I was a promise scholar, just like having my school paid for. But just after post-grad, just not having to pay back student loans, things like that are really big because while everyone has different backgrounds, obviously. Some people, they can, take more of a risk. Some people, might not have a more like a stable home life. I don't really know. It's really dependent on each individual, but just having that advantage kind of frees you up in a sense to pursue opportunities that might be harder otherwise.
So yeah, I would totally agree with everything Marlon said. And just, we live in a digital age where you can literally learn anything online if you really wanted to. I actually listed some resources that I'm going to put in the chat where, like, let's say you were really interested in digital marketing. You could learn, get certificates from Google Digital Garage for free. If you wanted to learn, AdSense, which is a really fast way to like learn ads, like Google Ads. That's, a very quick career that a lot of people say is, with 2 years of experience in an agency, you can get up to 6 figures. That, like, you can learn that at Google Skills Shop for free. Or maybe you want to be a writer for like an online publication. Like, I don't know. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Vogue? Do they have online? I don't read magazines. But let's say you want to learn how to drive traffic and write articles. Like, you can learn, search engine optimization on Ahrefs Academy. And they're offering a lot of free tools online are being offered for free. I actually know a friend who does his own photography business. He's first gen. He went to UCSB and he's working as an ARD. But, because of the whole circumstances going on, he's not going to have a job over the summer. However, he's used this opportunity to book clients throughout the summer so that he has something to do to earn an income while he's waiting to go back and become an ARD back in the fall. Like, he literally learned how to do Lightroom from just watching YouTube. Like, I just saw a YouTube video on Lightroom Masterclass, which is like an editing software for photography. And, this guy charges like $100 an hour per photo. I was like, what? That's crazy. Like, it's more than like some people make. But I also want to just let you know it's okay to not necessarily have to take the nice job or build your own business or do something spectacular after you graduate. I actually know a friend, he was a Bill Gates Millennial Scholar, and like a lot of us, we come from families from low income areas. And he's from Oakland. And the first job he got out of college was actually, he was working at Trader Joe's. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's really nothing wrong. Like, they got, man, you know how much they can make like $16 an hour, dental, healthcare. I think he even had life insurance, 10% discount at Trader Joe's. I mean, that's already like amazing, So, but eventually he just used that as a way to kind of like apply to jobs, buy himself some time. And eventually he actually applied for a research job at a biotech, like a growing biotech company. And he got it. They loved him. And that's all because like he took the time to really look and connect with people and, ask his mentors and people he did research with for letters of rec, to really make those impressive recommendations. And now he's making like $65K a year, which is really good. And now he's able to help his mom actually not have to work anymore, which is often like, I believe a dream that a lot of us have, where we don't want our parents to have to go through all the struggles that, we went to college to alleviate for. That's something that is you could do. Like, so don't feel like you have to do the next big thing or get an amazing job right off the bat. Just kind of get yourself, what's it called, like through the trenches, or buy yourself some time and really explore and figure out what you want to do. So sorry if that advice was very long-winded. It is very hot in my house right now. We only have about 10, 15, 20. I'm a bio major. I'm not really good with math. I think we have about 15 minutes left. So if you guys have any questions, just be sure to put them in the chat. But there is one I want to ask, and that's, how is everyone dealing with stress? Like, how have we been dealing it? Like, I'm sure y'all have your own coping mechanisms, but there's not going to be caps in the real world. I mean, it's called therapy, but who's got money for therapy nowadays? But how are we, like students, like current alums, post-grad, like how have we coped? So Marlon, I'm gonna let you go first.
Go first. All right. So just how I've dealt with stress, I would say like one big thing is trying to limit my social media use. I think like I've had, seniors reaching out to me this past year, telling me about their kind of struggles and how they can overcome it. And I think a lot of it is like, we're first generation students. I was talking about this with one of the psych PhDs last year. I feel as first gen students, we kind of put a lot on ourselves. Like, we have to be involved in all these extracurricular activities. We have to ace all of our classes just because we're the first ones in our family to go to college. So we just put a lot of this external and internal pressure on ourselves. So just trying to be mindful of that. So for me, that's been kind of like staying off like LinkedIn, where in my personal opinion, there's like way too much humble bragging on there, just stuff like that. Just trying to focus on myself. And something that I've been kind of doing a lot lately is journaling. Like, instead of going and reading like self-help books, I was surprised by how much I was kind of like learning about, kind of like my own goals, and kind of where I was in my headspace by just like sitting down and just like journaling while listening to music. Yeah.
Let's see. To be honest, this year was really stressful because
Uh,
I was just kind of floating, doing nothing. So, like he said, he said his friend got a job at Trader Joe's. So I was working at restaurants this year, and it was kind of hard to go from getting my degree to being at the bottom of the totem pole in like a hierarchy of a workplace. So it was kind of discouraging, and really, I think it's kind of your own love language of what helps you de-stress. Like I like to go outside, or I also do really like to read self-help books. There are so many resources out there too. If you're someone that, you don't really have access to conventional therapy, doing a lot of research, you can definitely find community. I know in Santa Barbara, there's a great one called Community Counseling and Education Center. But there's a lot in other towns. Big cities will definitely have them that are going to be low price counseling that helps a lot. Also, staying off social media is huge because there are going to be those people that jump out of school and get the perfect job, and they're putting it all over social media, and you just compare yourself to it. So definitely just take detoxes from it if you can. And there was one more point I was going to make. Oh yeah, in terms of LinkedIn, I mean, I'm going to be an academic, so I don't even have I have a LinkedIn, but I'm not active on it at all. I know a lot of jobs do require it nowadays, but I just don't really believe in it. I think it's really negative for mental health because that's the number one place as a graduate you're going to compare yourself to other people. But just like I said, try to just take detoxes and limit your time on those types of things. Know that it's your own journey and you're going to figure it out. You have time. Like, we're so young, we're debt free. It's like, don't stress yourself out about what your idea of after college is, because I had this idea, like all of us probably end up having, that you just want everything perfect, and just let go of that because it's going to be your own thing. And there's plenty of people at college that they work at Trader Joe's forever and they love it. It's about what you love, and like as long as you have your needs met, it's really about enjoying yourself. So don't focus too much on what everyone else like expects of you. Or it's also hard when coming from all of us who are first gen or have low income backgrounds, marginalized backgrounds for a ton of you guys. It's hard coming back to your family after school because I feel like our families will have certain expectations about what we should be doing, but try to just keep it centered on your own universe, and as much as you can. It's easier said than done, but yeah, that would be my advice to manage your stress.
Yeah, this year has been literally like, I thought I was stressed out in undergrad. I think like my thing is that, and at least like during undergrad, I had like an end goal. And I think that the scariest thing of post-grad is that you're kind of like free now. Freedom as in like, yes, you don't have like exams and oh my God, like all those professors and the curve, oh my God. But with post-grad, it was kind of like, wow, I'm really like on my own now, and I'm the determinant of what I want out of life. And yeah, like I moved home and it's complete chaos. Like I live in a house where it's never quiet. People are yelling because I don't know, like my family just doesn't know how to speak at a normal level, and it's just become like it's really good to be back with family. But I do know that like, oh my God, if I don't get in like to school or something this year, like I gotta move out, something else. I do think that it's discouraging that like, at least like for me, I graduated, I made like decent money as a CLAS tutor, and then like I swear this job I started at $13 an hour. And I was like, is that even like minimum wage? But I've definitely learned that you got to start somewhere. And like now I don't make 13 anymore. Like I make 18, which isn't that great, but it fits my needs. It fits me. I'm saving up for apps. And that was like another thing for me. Like if I had the resources and like all that money to like apply right away out of college, like that's great, but I didn't have that, so I kind of had to find like the middle ground. I learned to cook a lot of things. Like undergrad, I didn't have the time. I would make like pasta and ramen noodles and go to the dining commons. But I learned like how to cook. I like exercised a lot more than I did in undergrad, which is great. Spent time with family because I do take them for granted. Like eventually, like I'll be on my own and I won't see them as much. But stress-wise, like know that you're not alone. I FaceTimed a lot of friends that were like in the same place as me, like, oh, kind of like not that great in jobs, vent to each other. But I would definitely, like, I stayed off social media. I was like a big person of, wow, like she's already like in medical school, or she's like, some of my friends are getting married, and I'm like, oh my God, this is wild. Like this is the time where everyone's path kind of just diverges, and people are having kids, people are having like their third kid, people are like working like at Trader Joe's, and that's totally great. Like I was working like a bare minimum wage job for a long time, and I was kind of embarrassed. But like it doesn't, you got to start somewhere, and as long as you're like working on yourself, figuring out what you want out of life, like that's where you got to go. And feel free to like reach out to anybody. I think everyone like is scared to kind of ask for help. But if you need a vent to me, like I'm here for you guys.
All right, I'll start off by saying, don't sell yourself short. Undergrad is so stressful. If you're graduating now, you lived through the Thomas Fire. You have survived the coronavirus pandemic. You're okay. You can do it. Like I don't know. I think I was like the most stressed sophomore year, second, like I took OChem and I was doing physics and math 4A, and like that was like the most stressful time of my life. And now I look back and I was like, that wasn't even that stressful, like compared to now. So I don't know, just like go back, like lean on the strategies, because if you've made it this far, you know how to deal with stress. So just remember what you do that makes you feel better. So for me, that's I got into yoga because like sometimes I have like cyclical like panic thoughts, and I'm like spiraling, but then like I do a little yoga, you have to breathe slow, and like I know it's super appropriated, but you know what, it really works, and it feels good. I also exercise, so like running like other people, like I think it's scientific. It is not. I know it's scientifically proven to reduce your stress. So rely on the science, you guys. And also, it helps if you imagine your problems behind you, like you manifest them behind you. Get my record times. Other things to manage stress. I also agree with people about disconnecting from social media. What I've done is I deleted the Instagram app, not my account, the app. And then when I want to check it, I have to download the app and like sign in and everything. So it's kind of like a little. You can't like open it lazily. So that kind of helps a lot to just like check sometimes, but not be checking too frequently. So yeah, so just remember that you guys are capable. If you've graduated, you have a degree at least. So at least you're in the job market with the degree, which really is something going into a recession. And as first generation students, I think we do face a lot of challenges because like I'm in a field that my parents don't even know what it is. So like how am I supposed to ask them for job help? And I think a lot of you can identify with that. But just I don't know, your parents are there for your support too. So I spent some time back home, like would let myself be a little baby again. And I was like, Mom, cook for me, like all this stuff. So just like if you're at home right now, also kind of enjoy it because this might be the last time that you spend so long with your parents for the foreseeable future.
All right. Fatima, are you there?
Yes, hello. Graduating and going back home was like the hardest thing. I was like transition. It was really hard to find community. So I work at the business school, and there's literally signs that say "Do not talk." Professors doing research. So, and I'm also the type of person where if I know that I'm in a spiral and I'm like doing bad personally, I don't talk to other people because I don't want to be that negative energy. So it was really hard for me to like find a community or do stuff. So I definitely started going to the gym more and like doing things for myself to not be around people, but it ended up benefiting me because I started taking care of myself a lot more. So I actually, because I was in such a negative space, I started a gratitude journal, like so it's a calendar, and every day I would force myself to write two to three good things that happened to me. So now I've actually kept that journal for the past 10 months, and it's like cool to see what I've been doing. So that was one little thing that I was able to do. But then I also like in my family, I'm the only one with the degree in both sides of my family, and I'm the one that gets paid the least. So that was a really hard conversation to have, especially with my younger brother. He does construction and he gets paid a lot more than I do. So it's hard, and it's just to remind yourself, like no one's going to be able to take away college and what you felt and like what you experienced and like how much you grew. And then I started working part-time. So I started working at Walgreens, and that's where I found my community, and like I love working there. And even though like quote unquote like it's like a job that people don't like take seriously, I think you learn from people in very unexpected ways. So there's a levels of professionalism everywhere. So always take it as a learning point. Like never look down at like something that it's like low paying, because you're gonna learn something. You're gonna connect with someone that will connect you with someone else, and that way you start like building community as well. So I think for me, it's just like really put yourself out there to find a community, because that's like what's gonna get you through like the year after post-grad, because it's really rough. But yeah. Thank you for listening to me.
Tori, you want to spitfire top 3 advice? I say it's
My
down. We got about 2 minutes. Let's see who can how much advice we can spit out before we close this meeting. Also, thank you all for coming. So Tori, is your idea spitfire 3 top advice for these newly grads?
3 top, I think one is plan, but don't plan that much. Like it's not gonna go as that straight line. You're gonna swerve around, but as at least you have like some sort of direction and some sort of fulfillment. That's good. Reach out to people you really trust. You can vent to them. You can ask for advice, jobs, whatever. You'd be surprised like how many people you actually know and your community that wants you to succeed. You can find like jobs here and there from people that you know, and like be proud of where you are. I think that was something that I struggled with a lot, is being like, wow, I graduated first gen, no debt. But then I was like very down on myself because I was like, oh, I have no job. I don't really have a direction yet. I kind of have like a goal, but I don't know how to get there. And just like be proud of like how much you've accomplished and soak in all this joy before you even worry about the future. That's my 3. Yeah, good luck, everyone.
Fatima, you want to go? Top 3 advice?
Yes. Always be open to meeting people and just like learning from different, like have an open mind. Be a life learner. There you go.
Nice. Thanks. Marlon?
I have to list 3. I have 1 off the top of my head.
All right. Pick the best one.
All right. So this is something I've been kind of thinking about a lot lately. You know, a lot of people kind of think about, what college is for. And I feel like kind of like the conclusion I've kind of arrived at is, don't like, especially after you graduate, don't let the world commoditize your education, in that, at UCSB, you were able to get involved with research. You were getting involved in, higher academic learning, developing yourself as an intellectual. That's not something that any job or profession can take from you. That's an achievement, especially as first gen students. So I implore you, just don't let the world commoditize your education. Like, your education is power. That goes for all majors. That goes for all majors, obviously. All majors, all learnings, everything. Yeah.
I would say number 1, market yourself, and on your resume or whatever you're going to do, whether it's professional or academic, make sure you're wording things in the best possible way to make yourself look good, because it counts a lot. And you can, like I said, you can squeeze out a lot of things just by wording it in a smart way. And if any of you need help with that, honestly, a lot of people my boyfriend always tells me to read his papers and stuff, because I think I'm kind of good at wording things. So if you ever need any help with that, reach out. Number 2, be fair to yourself and understanding. And 3, just take advantage of being young and do what you want. Do what makes you happy. Don't do something just for money or for the reputation that comes with it. Make sure that whatever you're spending your time doing, you only have one life. So make sure you're spending it doing something that you feel great about. And good luck to all of you guys. Feel free to reach out to me. I wish you the best of luck in your future.
Awesome. And then Bella, you want to help us take this away, finish it up?
I feel like everybody already said all the all the good top 3 advices. Like I guess the one thing I'll add is like just remember to give back. Like now you're Promise Scholar alums, like maybe you can help with other Promise Scholars. Because in undergrad I did bio mentoring for first generation for like underrepresented groups, like freshman bio majors, like trying to convince them you can do it. Like you don't have to drop the major because you got a C on your first like Chem 1A exam. Because I did that and made it through. But yeah, just remember to give back. That's actually how I got my part-time job here, is like leveraging that community engagement, like outreach for underrepresented groups. So just like I say, don't forget what you came from. Like be proud of your culture. Like if you're a first generation student, like oftentimes you have like a strong family with like a lot of wills and maybe they argue a lot and they're loud. Mine is, and they do. So just like be proud of that and take that into wherever situation you're going into, and like find ways to make that like a point of strength for whatever thing you're pursuing after graduate school. And also congratulations, you guys are the toughest I think cohort ever. I'm telling you, the Thomas fire and the pandemic, what can't you do after this?
Oh my god. that was amazing. I love that. And just for my quick bit of advice, I was kind of backing off what Marlon said. You know, we went to a top 10 public research institution, you know, and that's a huge accomplishment. And that should be a tool that you try and leverage, you know, whether you're trying to apply to jobs or figure out an industry that you want to improve. And this is advice I got from my friend who just got into the UCLA PhD program. And she was like this entrepreneur minor. She was telling me, you know, if I didn't get into the program, what I would have done is I would have found like whatever the company needed in terms of like something that I could, like a problem I can help solve. And I would write a proposal for them and do the research that it takes. And y'all have done research, papers, you know, lab reports. You have done so much work to get that piece of paper that's literally like right in front of me in this really old cabinet. I should probably get a frame for it. But what I'm trying to say is don't be afraid to leverage the experiences and the skills that you work so hard. So
exactly.
Write that proposal, send it to a recruiter, send it to the CEO, be confident, be unorthodox, and congratulations, class of 2020. Y'all fucking did it. So that concludes our thing. I did the raffle. I'll just email whoever won. But congrats and thank you so much for coming. And also shout out to the alums for pulling up. I know it was hard making time out of your day, but I appreciate it. Thank you so much, y'all. All right.
Bye, everyone.
All right. Congrats, everybody.
All right. How do I close this? This happens all the time. Like I don't know how to turn
the
this
top
on.
right.
Top, bro. I'm on a computer.
Okay.
Okay, it's on the end. All right. I'll just press end. All right. Bye, y'all.
All right. Bye, everyone.